strikes. Israel has declared a state of emergency and warns of an imminent missile and drone attack from Iran in retaliation.
The strikes come as nuclear negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear to be making progress, a deal Israel viewed as unacceptable. Bringing more details on this as they become available.
From WKYC Studios, this is What's Next with Russ Mitchell and Lena Lai.
We begin with breaking news from the Middle East tonight. The Israeli military has conducted airstrikes against Iran, a dramatic escalation that raises fear of an all-out war between the two nations. And we've just learned a top Iranian general and Iranian nuclear scientists were killed in the strike.
U.S. officials tonight say there is no American involvement in the strikes. Israel has declared a state of emergency and warns of an imminent missile and drone attack from Iran in retaliation.
The strikes come as nuclear negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear to be making progress, a deal Israel viewed as unacceptable. We'll bring you more details on this as they become available.
From WKYC Studios, this is What's Next with Russ Mitchell and Lena Lai.
We begin with breaking news from the Middle East tonight. The Israeli military has conducted airstrikes against Iran, a dramatic escalation that raises fear of an all-out war between the two nations. And we've just learned a top Iranian general and Iranian nuclear scientists were killed in the strike.
U.S. officials tonight say there is no American involvement in the strikes. Israel has declared a state of emergency and warns of an imminent missile and drone attack from Iran in retaliation.
The strikes come as nuclear negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear to be making progress, a deal Israel viewed as unacceptable. We'll bring you more details on this as they become available.
From WK.
Chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon. And I don't want to be the one that didn't give any warning and missiles are flying into their buildings. It's possible. So I had to do it. I had the choice. Do I do it or not? Doing it has its downside, but it also has its upside. Like, you're going to save a lot of lives if it should happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Targeted Iran's nuclear facilities overnight. Israel's military says Iran has launched more than 100 drones. Earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Iran, which has long threatened to eliminate Israel, has produced enough highly enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. He also claims that in recent months, Iran has taken steps to weaponize the nuclear material. This morning, President Donald Trump is sharing his thoughts on the strikes against Iran, saying he's given the country chance after chance to make make a deal. The president posted on Truth Social saying in part, quote, Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. No more death, no more destruction, just do it before it is too late, end quote. 6:07, developing this morning, Iran has launched a counterstrike against Israel after...
Hey, Shalom, Yasharallah, peace be to the nation of Israel. They so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled bird Israelites, being Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, the main place for our captivity, and we are the Most High Yahweh's chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, in Allah Shwan Kadash, being holy tongue, as in the Paleo Hebrew, as in the ancient Hebrew, I'm going to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Barash, which is our praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. In the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, who is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. In the same tongue, I'm going to utter Mashana, Kabal Wadium, Allah Hasakwanium, Shal, Gadawaraka, meaning double honors to the apostles and elder bishops, Great Millstone, and Shalom, honors and salutations to Bayasha Dawada, meaning the house of David, of the 1/3 elect remnant of the nation of Israel, along with the rest of the 1/3 elect men, women, and children of Israel. And this fellow servant Malak Rayab, back at it again with another prophetic update. All right, specifically referring to this last world's war, Hamagad 1, which is further coming to fruition, right through these unfolding events of perpetuated conflicts on behalf of the Israeli Mossad, all right, through the Israeli government, through their Israeli military forces and their top ally, America, further, provoking their foreign enemies, as in the BRICS, key BRICS nations, as in Iran, Russia, and China, into war. All right, and Adam Ratazaz and Lord willingness be Fred edifying His order to elect. So this is an update on a recent attack on behalf of the Israeli government against Iran, which is a very huge unfolding event of the further foreshadowings of prophecy, specifically this last prophetic war, all right, in Revelation 11:14, known as is mentioned, that third woe, meaning that third war. So on CNN, entitled Israeli Strikes Eliminate Some of Iran's Most Powerful Men, including military and nuclear leaders. It says, Iran's highest ranking military officer, the head of its elite Revolutionary Guards Corps, and its Air Force and former national security chief have all been eliminated in the Israeli state's unprecedented operation, quote unquote, Rising Lion. Now they say supposedly this operation, the name of this operation, i.e. Rising Lion, was biblically based, which is a lie. There's no such scripture that mentions Rising Lion. But see, the lion is a symbol of Judah, okay, the top tribe of Israel, okay, which according to biblical prophecy would be the so-called Negroes, and is also the symbol of the Messiah, okay, the roaring lion, Yahweh Shai himself. So this is a part of Esau, mainly Amalek's, Amalek, the chief family of the Edomites, further efforts to further perpetrate a fraud that are the chosen people. All right. And this is why Bibi Netanyahu over there, the prime minister of the Israeli state, is continuing these perpetual attacks because he has been held to international war crimes by the international crime, the ICC. Matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up a quick article on that. Let me see. Yes, this is on the Times of Israel. It says, hostage families claim Netanyahu needs war to continue to avoid testifying in his criminal trial, which is a true statement because of what we just mentioned. So I'm going to further elaborate on, to further explain why these ongoing perpetrated attacks continues to happen over there in Gaza on behalf of them Ishmaelites, known as Palestinians over there, through the humanitarian aid purposely being cut off to further starve them out, which is been considered by the ICC as a war crime, to purposely starve a nation out or a group of people out, all right, including genocide. They've been further called out on by these various nations of the International Criminal Court, the ICC. All right, so this individual Inav Zangakar, whose son Matan Zangakar has been held hostage by the H to the A MAS, which this group was established, okay, by the Mossad, all right, says this individual whose son Matan Zakarkar has been held hostage by H to the A to the MAS in Gaza since October 7, 2023, charges that Bibi Netanyahu needs the war to continue so he can avoid trial. The prime minister will begin giving testimony in his criminal trial next month, weeks after a court denied his request to delay due to the time pressures of managing the current multi-front conflict. The price is paid by 101 kidnapped people, Zakarkar says at the hostage family's weekly press conference outside the Kira base in Tel Aviv, ahead of the main anti-government rally at the Begin Road entrance to the IDF headquarters. Now, the reason why, this individual, Einav Zakarkar's claims of Bibi Netanyahu needing these continuing perpetuated wars to avoid testifying in his criminal court is because these efforts are, of the intentions of him, appearing to be a global hero, of eliminating, all threats of, domestic terrorism and so forth. Okay, when really he's projecting his own terrorism. And this is what the ICC, has held him accountable for. So this is why he needs to continue these attacks. And this is ultimately why Iran just got attacked. All right. And the ultimate goal, the grand scheme of things, is to eliminate these threats in Western Asia, the modern day Middle East, of threatening the satanic NWO on behalf of the wicked Zionist bankers. All right, through their underlings, such as the Mossad, the Israeli government, their military, and America and NATO. So this is no, this is not what I was looking for. Let me see. Yeah, but that was pretty much the point. That was pretty much the point there. But it's going back to this article. All right, it says their deaths, which is the Iran's highest-ranking military officer, head of its elite IRGC Corps, and its Air Force and former national security chief, and a few of their nuclear scientists have been recently put to death. So what Esau is doing, mainly on behalf of Amalek, the chief family of the Edomites, is going down the entire military chain of command of Iran and their proxies, including Hezbollah. Okay, recently eliminating Hezbollah's Nasrallah. So their deaths will send shockwaves through the nation's military establishment and could seriously hamper the Islamic Republic's ability to respond to the Israeli state's attacks. Here's what you need to know about them. All right, and it mentions their names, including the head of the secretive IRGC Major General Hussein Salami, one of the most powerful men in Iran. Okay, overseeing its most potent military arm and reporting directly to its supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. So he was reporting to Ayatollah directly. So this was a major power move by Amalek. All right. So and that's all we need to know on that. Just a quick synopsis on some of these powerful individuals of Iran that Amalek just eliminated. All right. So this is what Trump had to say. It says, Trump issues chilling World War III warning after approving the Israeli state's Iran strikes. Trump seems to have endorsed the Israeli state's aggressive moves against Iran on Friday as he took to Truth Social to express his views. The U.S. president posted, "I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal," regarding the peace talks, which further confirms that, further substantiates the prophecy in Jeremiah 49-20, how the least of the flock of these Edomites on behalf of Amalek will lead America out into this war. Okay? Because this further explains the dispute between Trump and Netanyahu, because Netanyahu wants to go ahead and just attack Iran, which they recently did, and Trump was kind of pussyfooting around, basically, trying to uphold his own personal aspirations, to appear as a global humanitarian hero by playing the peacemaker through these peace talks with Iran. Okay. Being that, America is a bigger supporter of the Israeli state, the Israeli government, okay, through our taxpaying dollars, funding that carnage over there, this further confirms America to be the biggest ally of the Israeli state. So it's just a matter of time before America was to be drawn out into this conflict, this last World War, and this will be seen unfolding through the spirit of prophecy. So it says, Trump said, I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. I told him in the strongest of words. All right. Says to just do it. To just do it, but no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. All right. He's getting ready to say something very interesting. Okay, I'm gonna jump straight down to the point. He added, certain Iranian headliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now. Dead in all caps. Okay? He made sure to emphasize the word dead in all caps. He said they are all dead now, and it will only get worse. There's already been great death and destruction, but there's still time to make this slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. So that's, and it says this is coming, shortly after this so-called chilling map came out, showing 75% of U.S. To be wiped out in nuclear war, because Iran was brought out, I issued a dire warning. Okay, matter of fact, let me pull that up. Yep, this is on Fox News. It says Iran calls Israeli strikes a declaration of war, swiftly replaces eliminated military leaders. Okay, so basically, when you go into the information, all right, Iran is basically, greatly considering, the option of activating their proxy, their Iranian proxy militants, such as Hezbollah's, it's like Lebanon's Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthi rebels, all right, and so forth, all right, to attack the U.S. military bases, okay, around Iraq and Iran, because Esau has set up about 800 plus military bases around their foreign enemies' territories, okay, and the foreign enemies of America, including Iran, have been playing fair, okay, despite the fact that Amalek, all right, and these lower echelon Edomites continue to violate, these international war crimes that the ICC has, the International Criminal Court has further called them out on, okay, continuing to overstep their boundaries by eliminating their top military chain of command leaders and even journalists. About 181 different journalists have been put to death, and that's just a number that they gave us. They've provided, okay, through these unprecedented attacks. That's further forcing the hands of the Israeli governments in America and NATO, to force the hand of Iran specifically, okay, regarding this chilling warning of this declaration of war. So this is where we're at, and it's only going to intensify. Okay, so this is we start off in the book of St. Luke 21. Okay, St. Luke 21 and 9, and it says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by." All right. So we're not quite at the end, but we're knocking at the door by way of these end time prophecies coming to pass. Okay, including these wars, commotions that Yahushua prophesied about, which is currently unfolding. Okay, which makes Yahushua the Messiah, Hamashiach, Yahushua the ultimate prophet. All right, St. Luke 21 and 10. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation. Okay, you got including Russia, recently. Threatening to destroy those Baltic states, i.e. reportedly, threatening to destroy the Baltic states, as in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, which are current NATO allies as of recently added to the NATO alliance of America. All right. Then you got the whole, Israeli state and Iran situation, taking place. Okay. America against North Korea through the South Korea proxy. America against China with the whole Taiwan proxy through the whole Taiwan proxy. So it's just war and after war and commotion after commotion, all right, including in a civil sense, okay, including the Florida sheriff, okay, threatening to scatter the remains of anyone who so very much as to point a gun at the law enforcement of Florida, do these anti-ICE protests going on right now. So the Florida sheriff, in a civil sense, just threatened to, devastate anybody who seemingly threatens the Florida law enforcement. So there's a lot that's happening right now. Okay, and that's why we would command to stand on our watchtower. All right, there's so much prophecy that has taken place that is challenging to keep up with everything, which is a good problem to have, so to say, which is not a problem at all, just proverbially speaking. But anyway, St. Luke 21. All right, give me 1 second. All right, just reached my destination, just getting parked up. All right, so this is St. Luke 21:10. It says, "Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines and pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven." It says, "But before all these they shall lay their hands on you, and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake." Okay, because in Wisdom of Solomon 5:4 says they would account our lives for madness. And let me get there real quick. Because the people that are prophesying these end-time prophecies, including these rumors of wars and end-time commotions through the Civil War and, sedition amongst men and so forth, okay, are hated because we're threatening the perceived peace through the false sense of security that people have through the trust in Esau's government. Okay, clocking in, to their daily 9 to 5s, or indulging in their day-to-day mindless routine as slaves in Esau's corporate America, for example, paying their taxes, slaving for these corporate devils, okay, while being further weakened in the flesh, inheriting, developing ailments in the process, becoming more in debt, at the expense of the aspiration of these devils being further fulfilled, all right, benefiting off of the captivity of their slaves, okay. These are the very people that hate us. Okay, like it says in Galatians 4:16, "Have I become your enemy because I tell you the truth?" And that more so pertains to Jake. But people hate the righteous for speaking the truth, because truth forces people to hold themselves accountable for the wickedness that they're involved in and to make a change. Okay, but it takes faith to do that. There was only a spiritual gift given to the elect. This is Wisdom of Solomon 5:4. Says, "We fools counted his life madness, and his end to be without honor." So these people don't consider us honorable, okay? Because we prophesy against the wicked, and they are in alliance and full allegiance with the wicked. That's why they go out there and vote, because their minds are conformed to Esau's beast system, his world. This is why the mass majority of the world are going to die, because they're going to follow Esau's false narratives of his agenda through his satanic council of this NWO and take that chip and be destroyed, which is a penalty for taking that chip. All right, bathed in a lake of fire, Revelation, the 14th chapter, produced by this last world's war. Jeremiah 28:8. "The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesy both against many countries and against great kingdoms, of war and of evil and of pestilence." And that's exactly what we're doing. And America, Babylon the Great, is the epitome of a great kingdom of war, evil, and pestilence. This, because this place is a sinful kingdom, as it says in Amos 9:8. So, segueing back to St. Luke 21, continuing in verse 13, it says, verse 12, But before all these they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake." All right, because these very people, that accounts our life for madness, including our so-called family members, our spouses, our peers, a lot of them are going to give us up. A lot of them know our government information, okay? And they're spineless. They're meaning what? They're faithless in the spiritual war, okay? It says in Psalm 94 chapter, who shall fight for me? Roughly paraphrased, as in fighting for righteousness. These people don't have the gall. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the grit. They don't have, ultimately, the spirit of faith to give up their lives, which is the ultimate sacrifice for righteousness' sake. So they're gonna cower up and bow before the pressure of Esau, regarding that Freemasonic ideology, as above, so below, pressure from above, pressure from below. And this is why even Trump recently came out and said that these mass ICE protests are orchestrated. Okay? It says in Psalm 64:8, his tongue will befall himself. Roughly paraphrasing. So this devil is further contributing to his own downfall. Let me see if I can find that. Yep, here it is.
Of a police officer with a Molotov cocktail. So who is funding these illegal aliens who are coming in with this very professional riot gear? It's a question everyone in this
protest in Los Angeles. Does the White House have any more details about who they believe is paying these protesters?
The president spoke about this last night when he returned from Fort Bragg, because frankly the president has a lot of common sense. And if you look at some of the imagery that we have received from the Department of Homeland Security and ICE and law enforcement who are on the ground, you will see boxes and boxes of very professionalized masks and rioting equipment being dropped off for the...
It's interesting she says that, because there is a viral video. There's a video that went viral on social media, which I actually saved on Instagram. For the sake of time, I'm not going to be able to get it, but there's a video on Instagram that went viral of footage, okay, being released of Esau dropping off crates of bricks within these pro-democratic areas where a lot of these planned, quote-unquote, planned protests are taking place, all a part of the No Kings planned protests. You know, that organization, No Kings, targeting and condemning authoritarianism, which further confirms this whole thing is orchestrated. So it's very interesting that Trump admitted that. Now, the narratives that this blonde, this leprous-headed Edomite bimbo is carrying out on behalf of Esau, that the orchestration is on behalf of immigrants, is just a part of Esau's narratives, okay, to further demonize, the so-called migrants, immigrants of so-called Hispanic descent crossing the border, okay, is a part of, to further carry out his Make America Great slogan, as in to purify America of the undesirables, Israelites, okay? So that's part, that's the whole intention of those narratives. But all in actuality, all he did was further put his foot in his mouth by further revealing that these protests are orchestrated. Okay? So I'm not going to play any more of that, but that's very interesting that this bimbo, this leprous-headed bimbo, Edomite bimbo, has said that, because what she, even though, what she was saying has some white lies in it, there's some truths within those white lies. Case in point. So you Edomites are just being further exposed, man. All right? Now, that's what I wanted to get to. It says, Florida sheriff warns anti-ICE protesters, we will put you down if you so much as throw a brick. A Florida sheriff delivered a stern warning to anyone planning protests against ICE or President Trump, threatening to respond to violence with deadly force. If you throw a brick or firebomb or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains, because we will eliminate you. Graveyard dead. We're not going to play. Brevard County Sheriff Wayne Ivey said Thursday, and that's all that needs to be said. This is a Florida sheriff saying that. This is not a dictator. This is not on behalf of North Korea as in Kim Jong-un. This is not China's Xi Jinping saying this. This is a Florida sheriff saying this shit. So this further illustrates the time we're living in. This further rather substantiates the times we're living in, man. War, commotion, okay, as Yahushua prophesied in St. Luke 21:9. And this is a Yapa time, meaning a beautiful time to be living, because we're seeing the downfall of this place.
Pretty saying they're ready for multiple demonstrations over the next 2 days.
Yeah, things got tense at Monday night's anti-ICE protest, but Matt Howerton shows us how they're preparing and what they've learned.
A weekend of voices is coming. So is the hope that passion won't turn into chaos. What started in Los Angeles is now finding a foothold in Texas. Cities like Dallas, Austin, San Antonio seeing protests of their own. Nationwide demonstrations expected Saturday. Governor Abbott readying thousands of National Guardsmen ahead of it all, giving this warning on Wednesday.
You damage somebody's property or you harm an individual, that's violating the law, and you will be arrested for it.
The message behind these protests, a rejection of immigration crackdowns, and the man many believe set them in motion.
And so, some attorneys and police who have seen protests go wrong, urging calm. In 2020, some North Texas protesters walking away from demonstrations with more than just hoarse voices.
I have seen cause protesters to lose an eye. I've seen them split open heads.
Attorney Michelle Simpson-Teagle sued the city of Dallas after multiple protesters were injured by sponge rounds during a George Floyd protest in 2020. Less lethal, yes, but still enough to cause lifelong damage. She urges to exercise your rights, not recklessness.
The use of that force against you is real and it's serious and it can cause injuries. Don't give them any reason to use what is really dangerous force on you.
They have to be very orderly. They got to obey the law.
Thursday night, the National Latino Law Enforcement Organization meeting with LULAC before a scheduled protest Friday night in Dallas.
Don't cross that line. Don't provoke officers.
For now, a hush hangs over city streets, but the voices, they are coming. They won't come softly. In Tarrant County, I'm Matt Howard.
But not provoking these so-called officers, contains black and white information, because you could just very well provoke them by just apparently reporting. And that matter of fact, let me find that video. All right, Adam Ratazah, of these journalists being attacked. Okay, let me find that information. All right, let me see. Yeah, so there's not very much you can do, to provoke them. Yep, here it is.
Moving them on through the heart of LA.
Okay, so you can clearly see this devil purposely aim at the journalist, the Australian journalist, and shoot her. So this is where we're at, man. This is not like that Florida sheriff said, man. We're not playing. Meaning what? Esau Edom, the subsequent white man, a man of sin and son of perdition, is tired of playing with people. So that's why Revelation 12 and 12 is coming to pass. That much more, coming down with great wrath, knowing that he has but a short time to do what? To bring forth the satanic NWO by any means, through law and order. Get down or lay down. Okay, that's why they issue curfews in LA. So who knows what's to happen to these people if they violate curfew. These people are not violating curfew and they're still being attacked. So you can only imagine. All right. There, video shows police officer swinging his weapon towards her purposely. You can see it wasn't done by an accident. Okay, and then a cloud of smoke erupts, so he knew exactly what he was doing. So let's get a similar video on that. Okay, this is a further insight that we are approaching lawlessness. Okay.
It's on this guy right there. Look at him.
Here it is right here. A riot policeman. All right, let's segue over.
I literally just got it on video. I shit on camera. They just shit on I literally just I want us to focus on this guy right there. Look at him. Shit on camera. They just shot her 2 minutes ago.
And that's all we need to hear. So let's get back to St. Luke 21 and 12. Before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. And it's referring to the prophets. Okay, the same prophets in Jeremiah 28 and 8 that would prophesy against these wicked empires, these wicked kingdoms of war, famine, and pestilence. Okay, and evil, war, evil, and pestilence. Rather, all right. Verse 13: It shall turn to you for a testimony, because that testimony is of Yahushua, this through the spirit of prophecy. It says in Revelation 19:10. All right, and that's why these devils hate us. All right, this is verse 14. Settle it therefore in your hearts not to meditate before what ye shall answer, for I will give you a mouth and wisdom, which all your adversaries shall not be able to gainsay nor resist. Now, why is that? 2 Peter 1:20 says, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation. For the prophecy came not in old time by the will of man, but holy men spake of the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, spake as they were moved by the Holy Spirit. Okay? So with that, let's go back to St. Luke. So we're being moved both by parents and brethren and kinsfolks and friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death, and ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, because we're further exposing the fact that we're living in reality, no longer the matrix. The stronghold of the matrix through Esau's enchantments of his satanic devices is failing, is being torn down, exposing his wickedness, controlling the people that he's been using to control the minds of the people through his satanic devices, i.e. the politics, the religion, the bread and circus events, you know, distracting people from what's really going on. It's this global takeover, okay? To bring forth this satanic dystopian future of this totalitarian technocracy to eventually mandate the chip. Because once that chip, the mark of the beast, is mandated, all right, that last world's war is right around the corner. So this is verbal simultaneous earthquake. It says in Isaiah the 24th chapter of this, Isaiah 24 and 21, I believe it is, going into how this place will be shaken to and fro like a drunkard by the impact of the 200 million ICBM missile warheads, removing the tectonic plates from underneath the ground. Okay, causing a lot of people, people's hearts to fail them, all right, through these heart attacks, with all these fearful sights spoken about. Okay, St. Luke 21 and 27. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, and look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So this is part of the exhortation portion of the scriptures, man. Okay, to comfort our people, exhort or comfort our people that our rest is near. Okay, within the end of this devil's rulership. Okay, which is contrary to rest, because the wages of sin is death, through Esau's promoted by Esau's death covenant, this Western philosophy, this modern day wine of fornication of Edomite supremacy. But the gift of life is eternal through Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, the Prince of Peace. Let me see. Get the 2nd Ezra 9 and 1 and the G&T. All right, 2nd Ezra 9, verses 1 to 10 in a G&T. From the top, he answered, consider all these things very carefully when you see that some of the signs. Okay. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me see here. Let's go.
We know that there are other groups that routinely wear masks. NSC 131 routinely wears masks.
Mayor, just to clarify, are you comparing ICE, you said, to NSC 131, the neo-Nazi group? Are you comparing them to a neo-Nazi group?
What I said is that Boston Police and no police department that I know of at the local level routinely wears masks.
So she reportedly did, compare ICE agents, putting people on, further alarm. And the question why they're wearing masks is they're hiding something. But nonetheless, referring to these ICE agents to the group she reportedly referred to that NAZI group subliminally, and that's a further omen of this prophecy. Okay. 2nd Ezra 9 and 3, a part of the confused rulers of what the upper echelon hand is doing. It says there will be earthquakes, national rebellions, and international intrigues, unstable leaders, and confused rulers. When you see these things happening, you will know that they are what the Most High God, Yahweh, has spoken about since the beginning of creation. The beginning and the end of everything that happens in this world are clear. The same is true in the world above. Wonders and miracles show the beginning of events, and mighty signs show when they end. As in the end of Esau's rulership, as it says in 2nd Ezra 6 and 9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So let's go ahead and get Sirach 10. All right, Sirach 10 from the top. And it says, A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As a judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man and ruler the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. All right. So if the government officials and these politicians, corrupt politicians, are proven to be corrupt and tyrannical and unjustifiably, biased, okay, through their judgment, okay, calling certain people on crimes and not reciprocating the same energy towards other demographics of people, then so their underlings, all right, they're politicians once again, they're journalists, okay, the bankers, all right, even the athletes and people in the world, okay, will follow suit after the leaders. Further through these hypocritical, biased immigration laws, okay, to justify persecuting us and round us up, violating the Fifth Amendment. Okay, as it says here in verse 25, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. And this is why lawlessness is ensuing. Okay, Habakkuk 1:4 says, therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go to Jerusalem. Okay, for the elect to enjoy, the elect of Israel. All right, the 1/3. Then those who have ignored my ways and held them in contempt will be surprised when they find themselves in continual torment. All right, and really, that torment. All right, will really involve these 2/3 Israelites burning up in a lake of fire, wishing they were dead, by taking that chip. All right, verse 10. This will include all those who ignored me while they were alive, even though they accepted the blessings I gave them. Shaft, before the fierce anger of the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai come upon you. Before the day of the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai's anger come upon you. Seek ye the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai's anger, that dark and gloomy day, in Zephaniah 1. So I'm going to end it off on that note. Pray this lesson was further edifying to the elect, and Salaki, I couldn't get to the comment board. All right, I figured some Akim in the comment board, but I was driving, so Salaki if you're missing the comment board. But I'm gonna get this precept about a brother, GMS y'all South Hopeful Lecture 7, brother y'all Sop, Shalawam Ak, Shalawam T Akim in the comment board. Y'all by Shemish Thumb. Brother put up Sirach 13:3 in a GNT. If a rich person wrongs someone, he can afford to add insult to injury. But if